I'ma get myself a midnight snackaroo. We better have some milk today. Let's see, oh, there it is! Oh, god damn it, not again!
Can you feel life moving through your mind? Ooh, looks like it came back for more. Yeah. Can you feel time slipping down your spine? Ooh, you're trying to ignore. Yeah.
Final video of Sonic month? Kind of? Sonic Adventure 2. Let's get started. I love this game. I sunk so much time into this game when I was younger. This game was a pretty big part of my video gaming childhood. And even when putting my total blinding nostalgia aside, this game one-ups and improves on the original in pretty much every way. But, is it perfect? Let's just get started. Just like the last game, this Sonic game features a complex plot with all of the things you've come to expect from a Sonic game. Guns, terrorism, political negotiations, horrific monstrosities, executions, possible genocide, and of course everyone's favorite, death. So, unlike the last game, which had 6 different plot campaigns, this game has you choosing between 2 different plots, the hero story and the dark story. You still play as 6 different characters, but unlike the last game, this game only really has 3 types of gameplay. Sonic and Shadow's levels are the regular old self-explanatory Sonic levels, run, jump, and reach the end of the stage as fast as you can. Tails and Eggman's levels are shooting levels, basically the gameplay of Gamma from Sonic Adventure 1, but with some changes. And Knuckles and Rouge's levels are treasure hunting. They consist of finding 3 thingies hidden in a level, while struggling against time limits, various enemies, and bad controls. So let's start off with the hero story, shall we? It starts off with a Gun helicopter flying through the sky. Gun is a fictional military organization in the Sonic universe. And as it turns out, this helicopter is transporting Sonic the Hedgehog, who's apparently been arrested and is currently being pursued by the government. In classic Sonic style, though, he seems pretty unfazed, and just decides that ripping off a piece of the chopper and jumping off of it is the best course of action. And also, just like Sonic, it miraculously works. And to be honest with you, this is probably one of the best openings to any Sonic game. They set up the plot, leaving out plenty to entice the player to keep playing. Sonic is acting like Sonic, carefree and cracking jokes even in a situation like this. It's colorful, concise, the music's good, and it leads directly into the beginning of the first stage, which is debatably the best stage in the entire game. It's just a great start. And also, right from the beginning of the game, this is the first song that you hear. I'll talk more about the Sonic gameplay in detail later, but this song is awesome. So, Sonic meets up with Shadow for the first time. It turns out that the military has mistaken Sonic for Shadow, and thus arrested the wrong hedgehog. This is stupid. I don't think I need to go into any more detail. Getting these 2 characters mixed up and not being able to tell them apart is stupid. Alright, so Shadow uses Chaos Control to teleport away, leaving Sonic surrounded by gun soldiers. Chaos Control is basically the ability to warp time and space using the power of a Chaos Emerald, by the way. And apparently this is an ability that Shadow has. But anyway, Sonic is once again arrested and brought to Prison Island. Tails shows up to bust him out, only to discover that Amy's there as well.
Oh, Sonic! I thought I'd never see you again. I'm so glad you made it.
This is stupid. So they break Sonic out, he meets up with Shadow again, and then the entire island is destroyed. Now I know what you're all thinking. Sonic, Tails, even Amy. What's our friend Knuckles up to? Apparently Knuckles, the guardian of the Master Emerald, is really bad at his job. In the last game, it was shattered right behind him, and in this game, it was apparently stolen by this new character, Rouge the Bat. Why, Sega? Why the boobs? I don't want to dwell on this, mostly because I just find it weird. Constant Amy panty shots were bad enough in the last game, but now we have a Sonic character, a bat, with ginormous boobs that have jiggle physics. Okay, I said I wasn't gonna dwell on this, let's move on. So yeah, Knuckles chased Rouge all the way to the desert apparently, and then Eggman shows up and attempts to steal the emerald for himself. And Knuckles stops him by shattering the Master Emerald into dozens of pieces. Okay, he claims he did this to stop Eggman from stealing it, but come on! Is chasing after Eggman and stealing it back really gonna be more difficult than going around and collecting every single piece? Especially since, apparently, when Knuckles shattered it, these emerald pieces flew everywhere. And I do mean everywhere. Like, underground, across chasms, possibly into different countries. How does this even make any sense? So yeah, once again, Knuckles is hunting after the Master Emerald since, well, it's pretty much his only purpose in life. And Rouge is hunting after it as well because, she likes jewels. Knuckles eventually meets up with Tails, Sonic, and Amy. Tails finds out that Eggman's current base of operations is the long-abandoned Space Colony Ark. Knuckles leads them back to Eggman's pyramid base, and when they get inside, they steal a space shuttle that Eggman just has lying around, and they blast off into outer space. Now, I've got one question. Who is it that's counting down in this cutscene?
Beginning liftoff countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
You can clearly hear a person's voice doing this countdown. It doesn't sound like a robot or a cute little animal. It's definitely not Eggman's voice. I mean, does Eggman have employees? Do they have a pension? A union? Whose voice is it, Eggman? Who? I feel like I may be dwelling on the wrong things. So when they land, we get more of the usual. Knuckles keeps searching for the emerald pieces, while Tails and Sonic hatch a plan to stop Eggman. Tails has a fake Chaos Emerald, and basically the plan is to stick it into the Ark's main weapon system in place of a real one, which will blow up the entire thing, for some reason, so that Eggman can't use the giant nose laser on it to blow up the planet. Knuckles finally ends up getting all of his emerald pieces back from Rouge, and they flirt? It's still weird. So Sonic gets shot out in outer space and then blown up. But don't worry, he's fine, because he learned how to use Chaos Control with the fake Chaos Emerald. Not only did Sonic just suddenly know how to do Chaos Control, but he was able to do it with a fake Chaos Emerald. What's so special about Shadow again? Oh right, the shoes. Speaking of Shadow, him and Sonic have a final showdown, and in the end, Sonic wins, slam dunks the fake emerald into the Ark, and blows up the Ark's cannon, saving the day. The end. Of the hero side story, that is. But before we move on, let's talk about the gameplay for a bit. First off, I should note that unlike the first game, this game does not have hub worlds. Instead, they opted for a linear story where you go from level to level, each level divided by some sort of cutscene. And then later on, when you want to replay the levels, there's a level select screen. This change might not make some people happy. For whatever reason, some people actually enjoy exploring the hub worlds in Sonic Adventure. I don't mind them, but I'd be lying if I said that I love them. In my personal opinion, hub worlds are best when they encourage exploration. Exploring the hub worlds in games like Banjo-Kazooie is fun. More of the hub world unlocks as you play the game, and by learning new abilities, you'll be able to access more and more of it. This sense of progression makes sense, but it only really works in games like that because the game was all about exploration and learning new abilities. In Sonic Adventure, the hub worlds were pretty much just sort of there. New areas would just open up automatically as the plot progressed. If you liked it, then that's fine, but personally, I think this change was a good thing, especially with how it affects the Chao Garden. In the first game, you collected animals during the levels, and then when you got back to the hub worlds, you would have to walk over to one of the 3 Chao Gardens to enter it. But here, there are 3 Chao crates hidden in each level, and by breaking one of them, you can grab a Chao key. And if you have this item when you finish a level, you will be instantly teleported to the Chao Garden. You can do what you want, raise your Chao, play with them, whatever. And then, when you're done, you just walk out and the next cutscene will play and the story will continue. This new system is so much more streamlined and better. It makes entering and exiting the Chao Garden faster and easier and just feel like way less of a chore. But anyway, we'll talk about the Chao Garden later. For now, let's move on. So, Sonic's gameplay is pretty friggin' awesome, and I find these levels to be even better than the Sonic levels in the first game. There are far less slow and tedious parts. In fact, there are only a couple as far as I can remember. These levels are pretty much as they should be, filled with platforming bits and enemies to kill, but designed in a way where, if you do it right, you can still keep moving forward and going fast. And this game adds in a couple new gameplay mechanics that much improve these levels as well. Sonic has a somersault and this bouncing move. You can grind on rails, which is a lot of fun. By hitting multiple enemies before touching the ground, you get points, and you also get points for collecting rings, items, and doing tricks and grinding on rails. Oh, and the Lightspeed Dash has been revamped. Instead of having to hold down the B button to charge it up and then finally releasing it to run along a line of rings, all you have to do now is press the B button. This change is great. It turns the Lightspeed Dash from being honestly a pretty lame gameplay mechanic which took no skill and pretty much just slowed the game down, to a fun little speed boost that you can activate with good timing, and also a means of finding shortcuts and getting more rings without slowing down. These Sonic levels aren't perfect though. There's always the occasional death that feels undeserved, and Sonic's control is not always perfect. Like in this level, where you keep changing the gravity. It's hard to explain, but the directional controls change every time the gravity does, and it can be very hard, tedious, and annoying to get the hang of. Also, I should briefly talk about how this game goes into autopilot sometimes, since I mentioned it in the last video. There are sections in this game where the game will pretty much play itself, primarily when Sonic goes through loops and stuff like that, where there's basically no player input at all other than pressing forward. These parts have become more common in the newer games, but they're not that bad here, especially since other sections of this game definitely do require skill and practice to pull off well. So, yeah. Not really sure why I said I would talk about it in the last episode. Didn't really have much to say. But yeah, at the end of the day, these levels are a lot of fun, and easily the best part of this game, Chao Garden excluded, of course. Alright, well, it's all downhill from here. Knuckles. Oh boy, Knucks, what have you gotten yourself into this time? Alright, well, let's make this as quick and painless as possible, unlike his levels, and just go through the reasons why they suck, even more than they did in Sonic Adventure 1. They got a lot worse. Reason why they suck, number 1, the camera sucks. Self-explanatory, the camera sucks. Reason 2, the controls suck. Other than the digging mechanic, the controls somehow got worse. And I mean, they weren't perfect before. There are tons of times where I pressed the jump button in the air to glide, but Knuckles just didn't, leaving me to end up clicking it multiple times. And there are tons of times where Knuckles just wouldn't grab onto a wall. And oftentimes when he did, I would end up getting hung up and stuck on something. Or he would reach the top of a ledge and he would end up falling back down again. Reason 3, they changed how the Emerald Radar works. Only the first Emerald Radar works at a time. You'll never see more than one of these lighting up at once, unlike the first game. Basically what this means is that even if you're literally passing right by one of the 3 emerald pieces, if it's not the one that you're currently supposed to be tracking, it will not alert you of its presence. This gameplay change is stupid. It makes no sense. It makes these levels so much worse and take so much longer. I don't understand the mentality behind this change. And finally, reason 4. These levels are often freaking mazes. Most of them consist of smaller enclosed areas, which are not fun or even easy to explore with how fast Knuckles runs. There's literally only one of these levels that I kind of enjoy, his second level, Pumpkin Hill. This has always been my favorite Knuckles level by far. So let's quickly examine why Pumpkin Hill is the best Knuckles level, shall we? Well, it's larger and more open, allowing Knuckles plenty of opportunity to glide to get around. And since it's so open, the camera isn't as much of an issue. It's large, but it has 3 main mountains, which all have easily recognizable landmarks, making the hints you get a lot more useful. And the music is great. Agree with me or not, I don't care. This music is great.
I ain't gonna let it get to me, I'm just gonna creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel.
Knuckles' final level, Meteor Herd, almost works. It's almost there. It's not a maze, it's wide and open just like Pumpkin Hill, but sadly most of the distances you have to travel in this level are vertical as opposed to horizontal. What I mean by this is that you can get around Pumpkin Hill easier using your gliding. Sure, there's still height to the level, but this level has way more height. And sure, you can climb, but unlike Pumpkin Hill where you have plenty of spots to climb up everywhere, they're literally mountains, here you do not. There are a lot more floating platforms and stuff like that, meaning that you have to remember exactly where the different springs and rockets are located to ascend. It's not fun. The Knuckles levels in general are not fun. Oh, but don't worry, Tails sucks too. His levels are also terrible. Why am I acting like that's a good thing? God, these levels suck. Not a single one of Tails' levels are fun, in the slightest. It's honestly kind of surprising. I actually can't find a single section that's fun, at all. These levels are slow, tedious, and overall just unpleasant. Remember the Gamma levels? Running and jumping around, shooting everything in sight? Well, Sega seemed to be pretty fond of these levels, since they basically brought them back through Tails. Sure, he has the ability to fly, and even if he couldn't, he's in a friggin' plane, but why fly when you can slowly walk around? Alright, let's cut the jokes for a second. I enjoyed the Gamma levels from SA1. They were relatively mindless, but still fairly fast and fun. These levels, however, are not fun. Where Gamma's levels were fast, Tails' are slow. Where Gamma was mindless, Tails is methodical, with enemies shooting at you everywhere, pitfalls that instantly kill you, no speed boosts at all, and a road fell on me. Yeah, literally, a road fell on me. This one level even goes the extra mile and adds in dynamite, which you actively have to avoid shooting. If you shoot them, they'll blow open these doors to outer space, which will suck you out and kill you instantly. It's like they took the one and only strategy to making these levels a bit more mindless and fun, which would be running around and shooting wildly, and then took that away. Actually, no, worse. They didn't just take it away, they booby-trapped it, making it so that if you do shoot around randomly, you freaking die. Yeah, it's just not fun. And that's really all I have to say about these levels for now. Alright, well now that I've talked about the gameplay for these characters, let's move on to the dark side story. Alright, so we open with Eggman breaking into a secret government base in search of a weapons project that his grandfather worked on. And when he finds it, it turns out to be Shadow the Hedgehog, who immediately offers Eggman,
Is that you, Sonny? Are you trying to spoil my plans again?
It's still stupid. Anyway, he immediately offers Eggman his help. He tells him to meet him in the control room of the Space Colony Ark, which was an outer space research facility run by Eggman's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, 50 years ago. It was shut down after a mysterious accident of some kind. They leave it pretty vague exactly why the Ark was shut down, but if you really want to know why, they explain it all in Shadow the Hedgehog. It involves aliens, it's really not worth playing the game. Shadow immediately goes out and robs a bank, stealing a Chaos Emerald. Also, Shadow repeatedly has these weird flashbacks to his time on the Space Colony Ark 50 years ago. Memories of him and his best friend Maria, Gerald Robotnik's granddaughter. We see that when the Ark was being forcibly shut down, Maria was somehow killed, and in her last moments, she shoots Shadow down to Earth in some sort of escape pod. Kind of begs the question of how Shadow then ended up in suspended animation deep in that military base afterwards, but hey, if I spent this entire video nitpicking every single problem with the plot, we wouldn't get anywhere. But yeah, despite the fact that Maria obviously wanted Shadow to be a good person and help all the people on Earth, being the ultimate life form and all that, he somehow misconstrues this as needing to take revenge on the world that killed her. Yes, Shadow, I'm sure that that's exactly what she wanted. You moron. So they meet up in the Space Colony Ark, and Shadow reveals the Eclipse Cannon, which, when equipped with the 7 Chaos Emeralds, will be able to destroy an entire planet. Rouge ends up joining them, and the 3 of them go to Prison Island, since 3 of the Chaos Emeralds are apparently being kept there by the government. They steal them, and then blow up the island. Eggman uses the Eclipse Cannon to blow up half of the friggin' moon, but they still need one final Chaos Emerald to shoot the cannon at full power. And as it turns out, Tails has it.
Station Square saved from a life-threatening missile attack. The city has awarded its famed prize to the boy who saved Station Square.
Okay, what? Station Square saved by a bomb? It was literally destroyed by a giant water dragon just a few hours later. Who cares about Eggman's nuke? A bit of time later, Rouge reveals that Shadow may in fact not be the ultimate life form created by Gerald Robotnik, and that his memories might not even be real. Spoiler, he is, and they are. And honestly, I've pretty much gone through the rest of the plot already. Everyone else shows up, Eggman tries to kill Sonic, takes the real Chaos Emerald at the end, but Sonic deactivates the Eclipse Cannon before Eggman can use it. The end. Alright, so gameplay. Like I mentioned before, Shadow's gameplay is just like Sonic's, Rouge's is like Knuckles, and Eggman's is like Tails. So I don't really have as much to say about them, but here we go anyway. The only real difference in the Shadow levels from Sonic's, obviously taking the levels themselves aside, is that he can't do the bounce attack that Sonic has. And he's got hover boots. But yeah, the Shadow levels are solid. Maybe not quite as good as the Sonic levels, but honestly his levels are pretty great. Rouge, on the other hand, her levels are even worse than the Knuckles ones. She controls the same, obviously, but her levels are much worse. Her levels tend to have more gimmicks, like multiple secluded areas separated by some sort of transport system, or this giant beetle robot that'll shoot you to death unless you hide in the shadows, or time limits. God, how I love this one level with the time limit. Oh my god, it's just best level in the game. Sarcasm! That was sarcasm. And her final level? Oh my lord, it has to be the worst stage in the entire game. It's friggin' huge. It has the illusion of being open and easy to explore, but nope. It's made up of many small floating platforms as well as 3 bigger planets which all have their own gravitational pulls. It's hard to explain, but having to go to specific spots to get from planet to planet just makes this level overly difficult and boring to travel around. And, oh god, okay, if anyone out there thinks that Mario Galaxy, or hell, that one Sonic level from earlier were hard to control, just try playing this damn level and get some perspective. I can't even explain how bad the walking controls gets in this level. It's broken. It's awful. And Eggman. God, these Eggman levels. They are so friggin' frustrating. Actually, they can be pretty fun. They're still not quite as fast and fun as the Gamma levels from SA1, but they're much better than the Tails levels, by a long shot. Obviously, the gameplay is, well, it's exactly the same, but the level design is slightly better. Here's a comparison. Eggman's levels tend to be a bit faster and a bit more open. It's not a huge difference, but this small change in level design makes a big difference when you're actually playing the game. And hell, I would say that Eggman's final level, Cosmic Wall, is actually a straight up good level. It's actually quite a bit of fun. Probably because you're out in low gravity space, so your jet booster basically lets you fly instead of just hover, which makes these levels feel a lot bigger, more open, faster, and just more fun. Plus, this level has a few monorail sections, which you move automatically through and just have to shoot things. They're mindless, and yeah, they don't take much skill, but at least they're fast and fun to look at, and they don't go on so long that you get bored. Before I move on, I should mention that just like the last game, this game has hidden upgrades that you can find. Since there are no hub worlds this time around, you find these power-ups in the levels themselves. Most of these are necessary to get through the game, so finding them is pretty easy. While other ones are still necessary, but only for some of the optional missions that you have the option to play, which I'll talk about later. These ones are often much more difficult to find. Like this power-up. You have to go over to this one specific meteorite and then run and punch it so that it flies into that door, destroying it and then revealing a box. Then you have to walk over and break the box and you'll find a switch inside that opens up the floor of this giant structure. Now climb up over it, jump down inside, drop to the bottom, and finally get the upgrade. Oh, and one quick tip here. Make sure you get this optional power-up in Knuckles Stage Aquatic Mines. It allows you to breathe underwater, and it is hidden far too well for a power-up as useful as this. Alright, so graphics. Based on when this game came out and all that, it looks pretty good. Not the cutscenes. But yes, the gameplay looks good. Noticeably better than the last game. It's bright and colorful, and yeah, overall it just looks good. Now then, the cutscenes. Well, okay, so here's the golden question, because of course they're awful. But are they better or worse than the cutscenes in Sonic Adventure 1? Well, the lip syncing is equally as awful in both versions, but at least the characters don't look like they're having friggin' seizures every time they talk anymore. The character models are also much better, at least when comparing it to the original Dreamcast version of Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure DX actually came out after the GameCube version of Sonic Adventure 2, so the character models are pretty much the same quality between those games. Except Eggman, who looks a hell of a lot better in every way. Jeez. The music in the background still drowns out the voices, like a lot. It's way too loud. If it wasn't for the subtitles, I would often have no idea what was being said.
So that's Dr. Eggman.
Well, I guess I can use it for something. I'll just take it with me.
Also, characters tend to talk over each other a lot.
You're comparing yourself to me? Huh. You're not even good enough to be my...
I'll make you eat those words.
The character animations are also pretty terrible. It's like they just discovered motion capture and then just really got carried away with it, with characters flailing their limbs around and moving around awkwardly. But honestly, overall, I would still say that these cutscenes are much better than the ones from the first game. Characters might talk over each other, but at least the acting is slightly better this time around, and nobody walks in place or spazzes out in weird, glitchy ways. The cutscenes are rough, but in the first game, they just seemed completely unfinished. The music in this game is great, just like the first game. The level themes are all fantastic, and the different characters' levels all actually have different styles of music. My personal favorite song in the game is quite obviously Escape from the City, frickin' Mozart. Alright, so I've talked about the different stories, my opinions on all of the different gameplay types, and I've talked about the graphics and music. So now let's move on to the final story. After completing both the Hero and Dark Side stories, you unlock the final story, a short finale to the game that ends the plot. And even though this is an older game, and I forgot to do this last time, I'll give you guys a little spoiler warning. There. So, after Eggman placed the 7th Chaos Emerald into the Space Colony Ark, it activated some sort of program set up by Gerald Robotnik, which sets the Ark on a crash course towards Earth, which, yeah, that probably won't end well. We learn that after learning of Maria's death on the Ark 50 years ago, Gerald Robotnik went completely insane, and set up all of this just to kill everyone on Earth in a fit of revenge. Oh yeah, and then he was executed. I mean, Jesus Christ, Sonic Adventure. It's like they were trying to make these stories as dark as possible. So, with the Chaos Emeralds out of control and everyone flying towards Earth extremely quickly, they hatch a plan, and we enter the final level. And this level is pretty awesome. You play as every character one at a time, except for Shadow. At the end of the last game, Perfect Chaos was formed, and we got an incredibly predictable reveal about Red Navi being Tikal, and then Sonic used the powers of love and friendship to go super and save the day. Here, though, every character plays a key role in the finale. And even at its worst parts, i.e. the Knuckles section if you don't have that water-breathing power-up, these levels are still a lot of fun. Even Tails' section isn't completely awful. And then, after that, Knuckles uses the power of the Master Emerald to nullify the Chaos Emeralds, which are powering the Ark. This literally gives Knuckles' portion of the game an actual purpose. Up until this point, Knuckles' entire story seemed incredibly forced and tacked on, like completely pointless. It was like there was this insane plot going on about saving the planet, and all of these different characters were getting involved, and then Knuckles also just so happened to be looking for his emerald and just sort of tagged along. But with this finale, he and the Master Emerald actually have a purpose, and it connects well with the first game too. So they reach the core of the Ark where the emeralds are located, and at this point Shadow turns back to the side of good after Amy talks to him. She just seems to have the power to turn evil people good, apparently. And then he fights the second final boss, the Bio Lizard, the prototype of the ultimate life form, Shadow. You know, it may be an unpopular opinion, but I can see it. Giant disgusting Bio Lizard, black hedgehog with hover shoes. I can definitely see the natural progression, and the resemblance is just uncanny. Truly, Gerald Robotnik was a genius. And for the final boss, Sonic and Shadow go super and fight the Bio Lizard out in outer space, flying around, bashing into this disgusting thing with Live and Learn blaring in the background. Frickin' awesome. And after the fight is over, Sonic and Shadow use Chaos Control to stop the Ark from hitting Earth, and Shadow the Hedgehog dies. They play this up to be pretty sad, but honestly, they didn't really do a good job explaining exactly what happened here. Why Sonic was able to make it back okay, but Shadow, for some reason, didn't. But once again, if you can overlook the sloppy and badly aged parts of this game and its plot, and overlook the things that make no sense, I think that this resolution is good. Overall, it's a good ending. Alright, this video's already turning out to be just as long as the last one, so let's move along. Multiplayer mode. This game has a multiplayer versus mode, where you can either race each other, shoot at each other, or search for emeralds. Each other. The multiplayer was enhanced quite a bit in the GameCube version. They added in a bunch of levels and basic features, as well as making it so that you don't have to unlock all of the characters. In the Dreamcast version, you did. And it's stupid. But anyway, the multiplayer mode is fine. Racing as Sonic and Shadow is fun. Mindlessly shooting at each other is fun, I guess. And the Knuckles levels, actually, they're not really that much fun. In fact, they're so tedious and annoying that we ended up working together instead of competing against each other. These levels still suck just as bad as they did before. But hey, at least racing each other in the Sonic and Shadow levels is a lot of fun. But yeah, that's about all I have to say about the multiplayer mode. It's alright. I mean, it's good, but it's definitely not a selling point or anything. Which is ironic because they made it one for the GameCube version. Oh, and I'm just gonna take this time to tell you all, by the way, that other than the multiplayer mode and the Chao Garden, not much was changed in the GameCube version. It's pretty much the exact same game. Even the graphics only look slightly better. with one unfortunate exception. So if I'm being completely honest with you all, I mostly just played the GameCube version this time. Figured I should let you all in on that. But don't worry, I played the Dreamcast version just long enough to know that the Chao Garden is definitely inferior. But yeah, it's probably a good thing that I focused way more of my time on the GameCube version, seeing as how much time raising these chows can take. I honestly didn't have the time to play both versions. Raising a chow is a full-time job. You gotta be ready to make sacrifices. It takes time to do it right. This is just a towel. There's a squid inside. It's just a prop. So yeah, the Chao Garden. Like I've mentioned before, there are many, many different types of chow that you can create and customize. There are 4 different stats: swim, fly, run, and power. Technically there are more: stamina, intelligence, luck, but they don't affect your chow visually. But yeah, by upgrading these stats, your chow will gradually start to warp and change. And when they go into their adorable little cocoon, they come out as one of 5 different types, depending on which stats you focused more on. And then you can change them even further, meaning that you can make like 25 different types of chow. Plus, Sonic Adventure 2 added in even more options and features. Now, with the addition of the Hero and Dark stories, you have the option to change your chow into a Hero Chow or a Dark Chow, by raising them as specific characters. This literally triples the already robust list of different types of chow that you can get. Plus, the different animals you give your chows will give them unique looks. Plus, you can get them hats, get them toys to play with. They really went out of their way to make these things as adorable as possible. And hell, through breeding your chow, there are even more customization options. You can get uniquely colored chow by doing this, and you can even get invisible and transparent chow. I only have a transparent one, so yeah. You would have had trouble seeing the invisible one anyway. Like I mentioned briefly before, the GameCube version changed a lot of things in the Chao Garden to make it a lot better. One of the most basic and simple changes they made is actually the most important change, and makes a world of difference. When you pick up your chow, it tells you their stats. In the original Dreamcast version, it didn't. Within the game itself, there was no way to see any of your chow's stats. In order to do this, you would have to go to this thing here and transfer your chow into the VMU memory card thing on your Dreamcast controller. In here, you can play some very simple games, buy items for your chow, and this is actually the only way to give your chow a name. This is just stupid. Being able to see your chow's stats is a basic feature, and having to use this thing every time I want to do that is dumb. Plus, it's not even really that much fun. But maybe that's just because my hands are way too big for it. In the GameCube version, it's much easier to raise your chow by having their stats all right there plain as day. Plus, you can name your chow by going to the Chao Kindergarten. On the Dreamcast, this area allowed you to put your chow in a class, which will teach them skills like songs and instruments. You can visit the principal, who will pretty much just give you a tutorial, and visit the doctor, since your chows can sometimes get sick. In the GameCube version, they added in some more stuff though. You can go to the fortune teller to name your chow more easily, and visit the black market, where you can spend your rings on items such as food, hats, and chow eggs. Apparently, the original Dreamcast version had the black market as well, but it was only accessible by connecting your Dreamcast online. So yeah, that's gone. In place of that VMU minigame, on the GameCube, you can transfer your chow into your Game Boy Advance. You can play little minigames and buy special items. It's pretty cool, a lot better than the Dreamcast version in my opinion. But even still, I'd be lying if I said I used this feature a lot. They also added in Chao Karate in the GameCube version on top of all of the many races that you can already compete in. It's pretty cool. Overall, at the end of the day, all of these changes I've mentioned make the GameCube version of the Chao Garden a lot better. Especially being able to see all of your chow's stats. That's such a simple yet fundamental difference. But yeah, not much else to say. The Chao Garden is amazing, and even if you hate the rest of the game, this part of the game is amazing. Period. No rebuttal. It is. So all I really have left to talk about now is what goes into completing the game. It's weird, I definitely don't do this for every game I review, but when it comes to a game that I know a lot about or played a lot when I was a kid, I always want to talk about everything that I can. So here we go. Just like the last game, you unlock something for collecting every single one of the emblems in the game. But this is easier said than done. Every single level has 5 different missions, and each one of them will give you an emblem. The first is just completing the level normally, the second is collecting 100 rings, the third is finding a hidden chow, these ones suck, The fourth is beating the level within a time limit, and the fifth is beating the level on hard mode. But even after doing all of those, you still have to beat every single level with an A rank. That's the highest rank you can get. You have to do everything perfectly. Chain enemy attacks together, take the shortest route possible, collect rings, get as many points as possible. It's just, wow, it is a lot harder than the last game. Plus there's these driving levels that are really annoying. You have to complete them quickly without touching the walls or the cars. It takes practice. Plus there's all these boss fights, Chao races. It takes forever. These missing Chao missions are just not fun at all. In order to even reach these hidden Chao, you need the Mystic Melody upgrade. Every character needs to find it, and they're hidden in the levels like all of the other power-ups, except these ones can be very hard to find. And even when you have the power-up, you still need to search through these levels to find the Chao. Getting the A ranks in the shooting levels is just boring as sin, as well as pretty hard. And the Knuckles and Rouge levels? Oh boy, just horrendous. Terrible. So much luck is involved. Literally, it boils down to luck. Well, luckily, I have no obligation to get all of the A ranks. So I'm not gonna. I'm done. Final thoughts time. This game is flawed. Heavily flawed. In fact, just like the first game, it's technically not very good. But I'd say it's a bit better than the last game. Graphics and sound? Better. Chao Garden? Better. Gameplay? Well, the Sonic and Shadow levels are great, but the others are not. But hey, the last game was definitely not perfect either. Oh, and the bosses are pretty good. Some of them really show off how bad the camera is, but overall, the bosses in this game are a lot better than they were in Sonic Adventure 1. Overall, I'd say that this game is heavily flawed, but worth playing, even if it's just for the Sonic and Shadow levels. But hey, if you're a Sonic fan, you've probably played it already. And with that, I'm done. Hopefully if I do a third Sonic month in the future, it'll actually be a month long. This one was sort of a mess, but I hope you all enjoyed it anyway, and I'll see you all next time. Alright, done with that. I'm gonna go get a snack or something. Why the hell is the door locked? Hey Mike, did you lock me in? Somehow? Yeah, I got hypnotized again. It happens. It doesn't happen. Doesn't happen to normal people. It's fine, it's fine. My master told me that if you complete this game 100%, that he'd release me from my eternal torment. And then I can let you out. I think it's a pretty good deal. I hate you so much. Back to the grind. Like I said before, the Sonic levels are fun, but I think that the flaws with these levels are most evident when going for A ranks. A problem that I noticed a lot is that the B button is mapped to a lot of different things. Light speed dash, the bounce attack, the flame roll thing, the spin dash, as well as picking up things and flipping switches. It's so damn annoying to see a line of rings ahead of you and press B to light speed dash through them, only to do a roll attack or to bounce my way into oblivion. Why couldn't it have been different buttons to do all of these different things? I mean, really, both the GameCube and the Dreamcast have 4 buttons right there, right for the pressing. Seriously, this extremely annoying problem could have been solved with some very simple button mapping. It's such a no-brainer thing. There are also a few times where you'll be trying to chain homing attacks together, only to have one of the enemies be a bit too far away so it doesn't work. This usually ends up feeling a little cheap, since Sonic is still obviously close enough to still home in on him, but it just doesn't work. But this all pales in comparison to the worst levels to A rank, the Knuckles and Rouge levels. Like I said before, it's luck. It's just luck. You have to complete these levels as quickly as you can, get some points while you're at it, and avoid using these monitors that give you hints. The emeralds are in new locations every time you replay these levels, so you need these hints in order to find them. But they lose you points whenever you use them, and if you use any more than one of these hints per emerald, then it's basically impossible to get an A rank. And depending on where the emeralds are located, it might be even harder. Like if the 3 emeralds are really far apart, so it just takes you longer to collect them. God, these levels suck. Just use a walkthrough. Use a walkthrough. For the love of God, just use a walkthrough. And it still won't be fun, but I give up. Use a walkthrough. Hit one of the hint monitors and then pause the game and look up that hint on Google to see where the emerald is hidden. This is the only way to do it to get an A rank without spending a crap ton of time in these levels learning and memorizing all of the possible hiding spots. No one wants to do that. No one should want to do that. Use a walkthrough. And by the way, it'll still be extremely hard and take forever, so have fun. Oh, and also use a walkthrough for these hidden Chao missions. Don't give them the time of day. It's almost just as annoying as finding an emerald in the Knuckles and Rouge levels, except now you're expected to walk around slowly and explore every nook and cranny as all of the characters. You know, like Sonic and Shadow, and Tails and Eggman. The characters whose levels are linear and designed where you basically only go forward, making the idea of searching for Chao seem like the dumbest thing on earth, and there's no way that Sonic Team would do that, but they did. This level is so goddamn mother frickin' awful. I hate it so much. Bad camera, bad controls, enemies, laser beams, fans that blow you around, a time limit, and these goddamn safes that half the time I can't open. And I can't reach this emerald. It's in a spot that's really hard to get it. It's just, come on, no, just grab it. Oh God, ugh. And these driving levels, oh God, please just kill me. So tedious, so difficult, so many tries. And some of these hard mode levels are just, ugh. Oh my God, this game is even starting to make me hate the Sonic levels. I'm just really running out of patience. All right, that's it, no more talking. I am buckling down and I am freaking beating this thing. I did it. You unlock Green Hill Zone. It's not worth it. Oh, hey noob, I forgot to let you out. Yeah, I was released from that hypnosis like an hour ago, I just forgot. Sorry about that.